So Bryce Mitchell is currently under fire for his anti-Semitic remarks on his recent podcast debut, and also praising Adolf. You know the rest of the name. This right here is a trending topic beyond belief in MMA right now. It went viral earlier today, and it's something that I got to talk about. We've even seen Dana White react to it, which I'll have a clip of that during today's video. I want to go through exactly what Bryce Mitchell said and why I think that it's completely out of line, out of cultural context. I don't think it fits in with this modern society that we live in now. And it's a dangerous ideology that he is pushing to a mass audience. I mean, probably millions of people have now seen the clip. Obviously, masses, I would say, disagree, but there are a percentage of people that feel maybe a bit empowered hearing what he said, where their ideologies line up. It's complete delusion and ignorance, first and foremost, but it's also hate, too. Even if Bryce unintentionally has hate, it is hate there. And we're going to go through the clips. I want to start it off with how everything kicked off. So, with Bryce Mitchell's podcast, how it started was the talk was about Elon Musk and his controversial salute that he did at a recent speech. And he was, kind of elaborating on his take with that. But he had a strong incentive to take the conversation to the complete far right and change things a little bit. Big turn for him. And he had a lot of passion about it too. Like, he really couldn't wait to bring up Adolf's name and talk about why he doesn't think he's a bad guy. He actually called him a good guy. Let's listen to the clips. We'll go one by one. I have several of them, and I will be giving you guys my real reaction to it all. So let's start it off. Clip number one for the folks. Let's listen in to Bryce Mitchell.
Here's what I say about him hailing Hitler, hailing the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination.
So right here, Bryce Mitchell just shows ignorance. I mean, the lack of critical thought that Bryce has is evident with this stark comparison. Elon Musk's salute to the crowd wasn't intentional because Adolf is a good guy. I'm confused by that. There's a nonsensical comparison happening here by Bryce Mitchell. Now, you could tell Bryce was excited to mention Adolf, and he was looking forward to shifting the topic to his controversial, ignorant, and downright delusional and hateful opinion. This is extremely radical. And this type of ideology that exists in a small percentage of people, it's a dangerous mentality, though. We've seen an influx of the Adolf sympathizers throughout social media over the past year. I've definitely noticed it at times too. And Bryce Mitchell, being a pretty impressionable person, I think that's a way to put it nicely, not one of the most intelligent individuals, is someone that, with this influx of this ideology, could be swayed strongly towards it, right? He could fall into these hateful thought patterns, even if unintentional, right? Because Bryce is such a good guy. He seems so genuine. He's nice. But what he's saying is hate speech. What he's saying is extremely dangerous. And even though he's saying it with a nice tone, claiming that Adolf is a good guy after the atrocities that happened in World War II, which, if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're not going to believe in empirical evidence that exists. But there's evidence that these things did take place. Okay? You can be as hard right or as hard left as you want to be. If you cannot meet in the middle on facts and say, yes, World War II happened. Yes, there was a massive amount of Jewish people who were expelled from a country and worse. And Adolf was the face of that evil regime. You can't argue those facts. This is truth. I want to listen to more. The next clip is actually, I think, more ignorant. And it's like a childlike thought pattern. It really shows that Bryce Mitchell does not have all of his neurons firing properly. Could be because of the Josh Emmett knockout. Could be just he's always been like that. Let's jump to this next clip where things don't get any better.
I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He
Did you hear what he just said? Really? Does he believe this? Does he really believe what he's saying? Go fishing with? That's crazy that Bryce Mitchell, with a straight face, is saying this. He's serious. To go fishing with Adolf, that's what you're going to do. He's a guy to go fishing with, praising him like, I don't know, he's a neighborhood friendly, I don't know what the word would be, front desk employee. I don't know. He's working at the 7-Eleven. He's a school teacher. He's a fucking custodian. He's a nice guy. He owns a restaurant down the road. Oh, he's a guy to go fishing with, man. Are you serious, Bryce? Listen again.
own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with.
A guy to go fishing with. Bryce Mitchell, 2025, probably the craziest thing said, the most controversial thing said in MMA history. As far as MMA drama goes, this is peak. We've never reached this type of point before. We've never reached a pro Adolf point. Sean Strickland says crazy shit, but he's never crossed this line. A mainstream fighter who's in the UFC currently saying this. And Dana White has responded. We'll get to that towards the end. Now, Bryce is praising Adolf because of his nationalism. Oh, well, he loved Germany. He loved it. So he's a good guy, but he expelled X amount of German born Jewish people from the country, an ethnic cleansing, as he called it. You couldn't have found a better example for somebody that's a nationalist. The fishing line is just stupid. I don't know why you would even say that. It's nonsensical. Bryce is extremely ignorant, guys. Bryce is an extremely ignorant person, but ignorant is still not an excuse for saying things that I would consider to be somewhat hateful. Let's get to the
He
next
wanted
clip.
to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays.
Tim Bryce. Bro, Bryce Mitchell. The ignorance on this and the fact that he's slurring his words, I think, is ironic. He simply just sounds like an idiot who seems to have symptoms of CTE as well. Turning them all into gays. Well, now we're going to have a nature versus nurture debate. They're just grabbing people and just turning them all into gays. Really, Bryce? You genuinely believe that? This is the first episode of his podcast, Arc Insanity. Might be the last episode. Might be the last time we see Bryce Mitchell, man. He might be stuck back on the farm in Arkansas because he may be legitimately canceled because he even got Dana White speaking against him. He seems to have CTE with the slur of his word. Turn him into... What the hell? That's crazy. Bryce, I say Savage Mode USA a lot on this show. I love America. I'm a Savage Mode USA type of guy. This is not Savage Mode USA. It's L. This is L. This is disgraceful. It's a disgraceful opinion. And actually, it puts a bad taste in the mouth of people that do love America. And it puts even a bad name out to other people around the world seeing this as, oh, that's what Trump represents. That's a, hardcore red-blooded American right there. Absolutely disgraceful and delusional. And Bryce should be ashamed. The UFC should be appalled, and you should be too. There's more. That's not it. There's more. Let's listen to the next 11 seconds.
They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, you know what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before.
Oh my gosh. Bryce. What I see here with Bryce Mitchell is he is a hardcore homophobe, okay? And that seems to strongly align with this fascination towards Adolf. I consider Bryce a relatively radicalized Christian, and that type of ideology and perspective amongst people that are radicalized in Christianity is actually somewhat common. The faith in Jesus, but love towards an evil man who killed millions and took by force, expelled people from his lands and killed them. Delusional, disgraceful, shameful, hateful. You can say it's his ignorance, and he is ignorant. Bryce is not intelligent. He is ignorant. but he is still promoting a hateful ideology to millions of people now. I mean, it didn't have millions of views. It had like 13,000 views. It's from 5 days ago. But now millions of people are going to see it. And I'm assuming a vast majority strongly disagree. I don't even understand Bryce. I mean, I guess I do understand Bryce. It's a hateful ideology. His homophobia is really showing strong. He's that hateful towards gay people that he's like, oh, that's why now I'm a sympathizer for Adolf because he did good by that. There's more. There's this. This next clip is. It's a testy clip. It's a testy clip, guys. Bryce goes on. I think just simple like hate bashing in this next one. Let's listen.
You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
But what?
Okay.
So why do you hate them though? What did they do to you? That's what I struggle to understand with Bryce Mitchell. The hatred, right? In Christianity, they teach love thy neighbor. Good unto thee, good unto me, right? Put out what you want back, the golden rule, right? All of these things that are normally expressed with people that have faith, but this strong hatred towards a certain group of people because it, what? Makes you feel uncomfortable, maybe. But you're going to hate these people because of that? No one's saying you got to befriend. But you're going to say, now I'm going to sympathize and praise with Adolf, a killer, a murderer, right? A vile individual in the history of the human race. Just because you guys align on one ideology, that seems to be what he is so passionate about, is his homophobia, man. It runs deeper than just being anti-Semitic. I don't even know if it's simply because of just the Jews. It's both. Jewish hate and homophobia, both together. So anti-Semitic, anti-Semitite, anti-Semite. Bryce Mitchell has put himself in the deepest of waters, and don't be surprised if he drowns in this. And he may, listen, it's a stretch. The UFC is definitely going to have a problem with this. They already expressed they do, but there could be a punishment. Let's get to the next clip. And this one, he just sounds like he sounded like a moron this whole time. More moronic takes from Bryce Mitchell. Listen in.
Okay, and he wanted a pure nation with people. You know what the Jews was doing? They was charging interest. Christians aren't allowed to do that. Like
There's
if
plenty of Christians charging interest everywhere on the
I
planet
don't.
right now.
You can see that his friend here was relatively uncomfortable during this whole tumultuous conversation. Because he definitely does not agree with Bryce. So hopefully he doesn't, get the guilty by association trek on him. He's saying that only Jewish people charge interest. In America, we get charged interest all the time. The credit companies do. It ain't nothing about your ethnic background or your faith. You're getting charged interest. I hate interest. I would love to never pay interest. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But you are saying you hate them because they're charging interest. So he's sending them out of the country instead of, is there a way, this is purely hypothetical, but is there a way that then you could put some type of bill out to limit interest charging? But if people are choosing to get loans from these said people who charge massive amounts of interest, isn't it the choice of the one getting the loan? Is it the fault of the one charging you, or is it your fault for going there for money or whatever it was? Right? Bryce then has another stupid comparison. Bryce's comparisons are terrible, chat. He's not a critical thinker. He wants to believe he is, but he's very, very naive.
Don't.
Right
If you need to borrow $1,000, Rolly, I give you $1,000, and you
Well,
wouldn't give me 1,100 back. You'd give me 1,000 back.
Sure,
But
between
these
you and
Jews,
I,
these Jews.
Exactly. His friend is destroying him here. Nicely, but his friend is absolutely destroying what he's saying. Between you and I, that's a mutual friendship interest loan versus a loan with a bank. I don't know how you can compare some type of personal loan between friends to a loan from a bank. I'm not charging you interest, but they did. So it's Jewish people's fault because interest is charged. They should be sent out and expelled from the country, even if they're born in the country. They should be expelled. Bryce Mitchell, You're losing a lot of fans, my man. Let's get to the next clip.
Up and says, hey, I'm kicking the Jews out of here because they're killing us with interest. And then now that he lost the war, he's the bad guy.
Now that he lost the war, he's the bad guy. They're the true colors of Bryce. Now, after this clip, he went on to say he's not a a neo, you know the word, right? N, and it, has a Z in the middle. You know the word. He's saying he's not that. He's saying he's not. But these ideologies are that. Your words speak as though that is what you believe. So you do align with those viewpoints, whether you want to claim to be one or not. As a label, you seem to have those viewpoints. So I would say he's the bad guy for expelling and terminating a group of people from his country based upon their ethnicity. Like German-born Jewish people were taken out of Germany. And worse, they were not just kicked out of the country. Worse happened, But because he lost the war, he's a bad guy. Bryce, you need to get educated, my man. You need to chill. You need to take a step away from social media. You need to get out of all these conspiracy videos and stop obsessing over your damn X timeline. Like, you need to take a chill pill, bro. Take a breath. America's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful melting pot of people from all different backgrounds, and it can be all one love amongst all of us, okay? This type of ideology, first thing, there is a negative undertone towards Jewish people that he is still holding today. It's not fair to put a clump of people all in one. One person did X thing bad, so I hate all of the people that are of that ethnicity or of that belief system. Obviously, is a strong problem with people that are part of, the LGBTQ. He seems to have strong homophobia and strong anti-Semitism, man. And a unfortunate praising for one of the darkest individuals in human history, at least of the past 100 years, but maybe ever. Wow. Bryce Mitchell in 2025. Now, the UFC, I was very curious how they would react to something like this. This is the worst thing I think ever said by a fighter in UFC history. I remember Miguel Torres back in the day said some messed up stuff and people were upset about it. That's a different type of topic. I won't even mention it. If you know, you know. This reaches a whole new level because this right here is true hateful ideology. Hard hate. Holy smokes. And Bryce is just openly saying this. That's crazy. I am surprised that video is on YouTube. But I guess it's freedom of speech. But damn, doesn't mean many will agree. Let's listen to Uncle Dana. Uncle Dana's a pretty conservative guy himself these days, but he's definitely not an anti-Semite. Let's listen in.
I've heard a lot of dumb, ignorant shit in my day, but this one's probably the worst.
This one is probably the worst you've seen in the fight game. This is by far a bottom of the barrel. Rough. This was really bad. There's more from Dana, man. I skipped over a certain portion because it's just unnecessary. Dana's loading on us.
And evil human beings that ever walk the face of the earth, and anyone that even tries to take an opposing position is a moron. That's the problem with the internet and social media. You provide a platform for a lot of dumb, ignorant people.
It's a very valid statement. Very valid statement. I mean, I'm happy the UFC is scolding Bryce on this. It has to be done. First thing, it's a black eye to the UFC because a fighter represents the company, right? And the promotion now has a bit of a stain on it because of Bryce saying this delusional, hateful shit. Let's listen to a little more, Dana. We'll let him finish.
When we read what he said and let him know how we feel about it, I don't even, we're beyond disgusted. So...
Beyond disgusted. Now, Dana did not go into detail whether there is a consideration of potentially Bryce Mitchell being out of a UFC contract. Maybe he'll release some public apology. I don't really know what the UFC can do as far as disciplinary action besides just, distancing themselves farly from Bryce Mitchell, who's under contract with them. Could this warrant a release from the UFC? Potentially, and I don't think Bryce is getting fights elsewhere saying this, man. He could be blacklisted because of this fucking ideology that he has. It's crazy that Bryce even said these things, man. Now, I was very careful with my words during this video. I hope most of you understood where I was coming from. Ultimately, I think Bryce Mitchell is by far wrong on what he's saying. It's a dangerous ideology that he has, and unfortunately, I do see an influx of it. There is this weird group of people, and there's the percentages that want to be critical thinkers, and they want to have their own opinions, and then really they're just coerced by the hard other side of delusion and conspiracy, and they lose touch with the true reality in hopes of just thinking differently, because always the mainstream thought is definitely wrong, right? Wrong. The gray area is there between what's right and what's wrong, right? And you don't have to fall on either side of the spectrum politically, but to take a stance like Bryce Mitchell, this would be considered like extreme right. I mean, that's pretty extreme in this modern day. That's wild, man. I guess it's actually on both sides. There's anti-Semitism on the extremes of both sides, actually, in this modern era, which is weird. They align on that. Very weird, very strange, very unfortunate, and not something that I like to see. So I had to react to this, man. I was live as all the news was coming out, and I said, you know what? This is a very base video. We got to talk about it. Bryce Mitchell, out of line, man. Anti-Semitic as hell, but I don't even know if you can re-educate him. He's like too far gone. This is a guy who is fully convinced the earth is flat. There's no space. The firmament cannot be broken. He's fully convinced. It's not like, oh, let's play with the idea and talk about it for fun. No, he believes that to his core, as I believe the fucking sky is, outside. I was going to say blue, but it ain't blue. It's actually a black sky with the blue shade, But as the sun is out. He believes it as if the sun is out. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. He believes the earth is flat. I guess he's praising Adolf now. Bryce Mitchell's just going for new levels of delusion and conspiracy. And now he's mixed hatred in it all. And that is where I think the line is drawn with UFC. We're like, yo, you can say all this other crazy shit, but the level that you just took it to crosses our fucking boundary. And he might be out of a job. We'll see. I'm expecting more, maybe even Bryce Mitchell releasing a statement. Is he going to double down on his claims? Or is he going to pull back? I don't know for certain. I don't know. I genuinely am unsure exactly what Bryce is going to say forthcoming. But I know for a fact that was an unnecessary conversation even on his podcast. They were talking about the salute of Elon Musk, and then he just wanted to shift it hard towards Adolf and really talk about how passionate he is for his sympathy towards him. Now, he claimed, oh, well, I'm not saying at the end he was a good guy. So a serial killer, but he was nice. He used to help with the kids. But he's a serial killer. Oh, well, he's a good guy, That's the logic Bryce has. Incredibly flawed, incredibly ignorant, and I'd say relatively low IQ. But, man, ignorant people a lot of the times can be the most hateful. And sometimes it's disguised behind a smile. Very, very unfortunate. What a wild day in MMA news. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know what you think of this whole debacle in the comments. I want to hear from the people. Smash the like button if you haven't yet. And if you're new, subscribe to the channel. I'm live every day. I got videos every day. Keep it locked in. W's in the comments too if you just want to support the content and boost the algorithm for your boy, because I hope people can hear about this and, they get a little bit of my take on it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.